Are you ready to rock?
Ready to go, yeah?
Yeah, sweet. Whenever you're ready, guys.
So, welcome to British Business with Matt Holland and Tom McIlvenny. Today's episode 9. Quite exciting. 9 episodes, there we are. And it's part 2 of Tom's origin story / business story.
Yeah.
We did a lot of kind of coverage on the previous episode about like your journey from like what your experience was like at school and college and then uni, through to like the early days, seeing your brother do different bits and pieces. So today we're going to obviously touch on and go through kind of part 2 of that story.
Yeah, very good.
A few bits to cover, but first things first, we've actually got 2 things. I asked one of the viewers, there's someone that's been watching the pod, I asked him to ask us some questions, and he's also very kindly sent us a gift.
Oh, wow. A first gift?
So we have our first gift. Oh, actually.
Hopefully one of many.
So, Morgan, you're going to have to grey that out because I put my address on that then.
Turn it round again,
Although
Matt.
I suppose my address is that is on the internet, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's the farm address.
Yeah, it's the business farm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't really make any difference. Which is where I live. So if anyone wants to send me hate mail, you can do that. But yeah, he sent us a gift, so I'll open it up.
Yeah, surprises. What is it?
So I don't
And
know
who
what
is it from as well?
So it's from Charlie. What's his surname?
It's well wrapped.
I've got him saved in my phone as Charlie Masonry Paint, I think.
Right, okay.
And the reason for that is because he painted a load of timber in his warehouse with masonry paint, and then it like all peeled off.
Oh,
so I was just like, what an idiot!
A blunder.
Yeah,
a blunder.
Yeah. But he works company. He runs a company called Workwear Innovation, so they do all our workwear and embroidery and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
So there's a few little projects we're working on together, and he's a listener of the podcast, and me and him kind of keep in touch.
Avid supporter.
Yeah, so we'll see what. It's very well packed, this thing, I'll tell you. I mean, the poor guy saw how much it had paid him. Royal Mail have ripped him off. Cost him £10 to send this.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it? Special delivery?
Special delivery, yeah.
That's it, innit?
Oh, it's some kind of picture.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's like a prop. He wouldn't tell me what it is.
Oh, look at this.
Look, it's got
Suspense.
a Workwear Innovation branded thing on the back.
That's
there.
it? Yeah, nice. Well done, Charlie.
Perfect.
Look at that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Get that front and centre.
Oh, she's looking quite, interesting.
Yeah.
So that's
Look at
Rachel Thieves.
Rachel Thieves, the woman herself.
So that's what we do all this for.
To pay our fair share.
Yeah, well, this is our biggest shareholder in the business. Yeah.
Right, okay, let's get her in.
Get her in the full frame.
There we are.
There you go. We can.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, lovely bit there by Charlie.
Cheers, Morgan.
Yeah.
That was Morgan for anyone interested.
Yeah. Part of the team.
Very handsome. I haven't said it to him personally. He looks quite. There's a lot of similarities between Morgan and Harry Potter.
Right.
Has anyone ever said that before, Morgan?
Yes, they have.
Sorry.
Far too many times.
I can see it now. You say it.
A mature Harry Potter.
A mature Harry Potter.
Yeah,
there we go.
I appreciate that.
Brilliant.
So yeah, Rachel's here. Have you got anything to add, Rachel?
Yeah, nothing.
I'm
as usual.
looking at
That's
the camera
good.
now, and I've just come to realise that it perfectly reflects the light. So all I can see is the light that's to your right, Matt. So if you slowly but steadily rotate it,
That's it.
she's coming into shot. Bit more. Boom, nailed it.
Boom! Look at that.
So we can see her happy face.
Feels like she's just staring at me. Like the eyes are coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the corner, looking.
I'm
at
sure
me.
she's a lovely lady.
I know.
I can see from my end the camera's just recognised her as a face in the shot. It's focused in.
There we are. Yeah. Well, she's joined us now officially.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Charlie.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a face on the another face on the podcast.
Another guest.
Yeah.
Like a threesome.
I'm in a bit of shock, to be honest with you, that she's inserted herself into the podcast in this way. Very interesting. Anyway, so wow, yeah, right. Well, we've got Rachel Reeves in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Charlie, for that addition.
Not sure what to say. Yeah, obviously, like I say, she's the biggest stakeholder / shareholder in our businesses.
Yeah.
We
highest paid.
Yeah, high.
She is.
Yeah,
she is.
Paid more than all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, very interesting.
You got to wake up every morning, see that picture, and say thank you every morning.
Yeah,
before you go to work.
Do you think we should keep it on the pod? Yeah, we probably should actually.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because then she can just keep an eye on what we're doing.
Put it to a vote. Anyone listening?
Yeah.
A comment.
Should Rachel stay or should she go?
Should she stay or should she go?
Yeah. Put it in the comments in this episode. Yeah, that's it.
No, dear me.
Anyway, so I'm going to carefully put my coffee mug.
Yeah, you don't want to block from the full view.
So today's episode's on Tom, obviously. We covered off quite a lot of different stuff last episode, which was quite good. I've also got some questions for you as well.
Okay.
Charlie's put together.
Oh, nice, Charlie.
Which was very kind of him. I asked him like 2 weeks ago. And he's busy. He's got 3 children, bless him.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got twins.
Oh my God.
And he's running a business.
Double trouble.
Yeah. So he's got twins and another child. So that's like bedtime chaos. Yeah. So he's doing that. He's busy with work and all the rest of it. And then he's got to write some questions. So it took him quite a long time to get back to me. But bless him, he got it over the line last night.
Good boy. Yeah.
Last minute. But yeah, and then he sent us that gift, which is very kind of him. So today's podcast is sponsored by Workwear Innovation. So if you need any embroidery or print doing, reach out to Charlie at Workwear Innovation.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Charlie. Well, we're in the market for some more workwear for the team.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. We know who's getting the next order.
Excellent.
Charlie. And it'd be good to get him on at some point. And
I'd like to get him on at some point. So last episode we touched on like the earlier days with your story, like your journey from being like a £80,000 a year business in year one.
Yeah.
Then you kind of grew it and scaled it to £200,000. You had that relationship with John Halliday.
John Halliwell, yeah.
Halliwell,
main sort of key supplier of products for me.
Big relationship.
Yeah.
Partner,
Great guy.
Yeah. And then we dovetailed off on that episode and moved on to just finishing up basically. So we can now kind of carry the story on. So you're doing about £200,000 a year. What year would that have been, roughly?
I think that would have been 2011 or 2012.
Yeah.
I reckon. Doing about 200k at that point. Sourcing those products from Top Grade, John Halliwell being the account manager there. Yeah. Had
that's like 12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years ago. Having one member of staff.
So what year did you start in business then?
It was 2000 and late 2009, early 2010. So when I was a sole trader.
So you're 15, 16 years in.
Yeah. Quite a long time, isn't it?
And obviously Rachel's sat here. How much money do you think you've paid into Her Majesty's Treasury in VAT? Just in VAT alone. Let's just start with VAT.
Well, I know my next VAT bill, which is due to be paid middle of next month, is about 150 grand. So that's a quarter of that.
Yeah.
So
£150,000.
Yeah. Let alone all the other taxes as well. Yeah. If you think about those and add those. But
how much do you reckon you've paid in VAT?
In the whole time? Yeah. Millions. It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's insane. So your contribution to the country and the economy.
Yeah.
In VAT
alone. Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
And that's in VAT. Then you've got all of the
tax.
Well, you've got the income tax of all your staff, the national insurance.
Yes, yeah.
Which would be thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
Probably hundreds of thousands, actually.
Yeah.
Then you've got your corporation tax.
Yeah.
You've also got all the tax that you pay on insurance premiums and things like that. Yeah, there's all that stuff. Any company vehicles, anything like that. Like, a lot of tax.
It's huge. It's a huge amount, isn't it, for companies to
and
then
you do your corporation tax, which is now 25% of whatever you get.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, after you then want to remunerate yourself, they've got rid of all the dividend allowances.
Yeah.
So you
used to get $5,000 tax free.
Yeah.
In only like 4 years back, £5,000 tax free. That was helpful. Obviously now that amount of money's down. I think it's down to £1,000 now. It's going down to £500.
So why do you do it, Tom?
Exactly. What's the point? What is the point? No. Well, it's just just one of the challenges that we all face, isn't it? I mean, everyone's in the same boat, thankfully.
Yeah.
In terms of any business owner, we're all going to be paying varying levels of tax in terms of monetary amounts, but the headline rates are the same, aren't they? So
yeah,
you just got to deal with it, haven't we? And things will change in the future. I'm sure there'll be, depending on whether it's this government or the next.
Yeah, or
sure.
a change of chancellor, like.
Yeah, potentially.
I feel for Rachel Reeves because she's obviously very passionate about kind of like her ideals, her politics.
Yeah. Has she ever been in business though? Is the question.
I think that's a very fair thing. I don't think she has.
No.
She's done a few different roles at where was it that she was it the Bank of England?
It was one of the banks and the
yeah, and she was a economist.
Yeah, apparently.
Or was she?
Yeah, apparently. yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult because like you don't want to like put her as like paint her as like the bad guy, but then to a certain extent it's like she's representing that. She's standing up, she's making those decisions. So ultimately, that's why she gets to sit there.
Front and centre.
So,
yeah, get her on.
But yeah, I mean, the tax, it's like, Jesus Christ. So you've been in business for 16 years.
Yeah.
You've contributed hundreds of thousands of pounds to the economy.
Yeah.
You've paid yourself well at times, but there will have been periods where you didn't pay yourself at all.
Yeah, there definitely has been times where we couldn't take any money.
Yeah.
And that's another sort of stress to bear, isn't it? On top of the people, obviously, pay the staff, they would always get paid. It would be me and now my brother that would have to take a sort of maybe 1 or 2 months or 3 months off in terms of income, but you still got to pay your taxes, you got to pay your suppliers, because that's the heartbeat of the business, isn't it?
Yeah, because like as far as creditors are concerned, HMRC are classified as like a preferential creditor,
right? Okay.
So they always get paid right
first. Regardless.
Well, I think there's employees are above HMRC, and then HMRC are one of the top preferential creditors.
Yeah.
So when businesses get into difficult times or go bust, they always get paid.
Right. Yeah. They always get their money, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Or and if they do lose out, more often than not, they get paid by a business that replaces that.
Yeah,
that business.
exactly.
So it's kind of like it kind of rolls through. So going back to your story, you obviously £200,000 a year. That was in 2012.
2012. Yeah.
And how many staff did you have at that point?
Just one member of staff, because all the distribution had outsourced that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have needed staff in there.
Yeah.
In the early days, I was doing that myself, obviously.
Yeah.
When I outsourced it to a 3PL. So yeah, the help was with Catherine in the office helping me.
What were you paying roughly to that 3PL? Like per order shipped?
Per order. So it was I remember it was £1.25 for the pick and pack for your first item, and it was 25p for an additional item. Yeah. And then it was obviously the postage, which they had obviously a margin on top, and then there's storage to pay, paid by storage bin. How many bins did we use? When I say bin, it's location. How many locations did we use? Issue with that is if we had one item in a location at the end of the month when they went to do the count, I'd have paid to have that one item in that location the whole month. Yeah. Whereas the location could have been full with stock, and it would have been the same cost for the location. So that was one thing, I suppose, that was out of balance with that. But other than that, it was a great 3PL, served me and the business very well for a good number of years, and took the headache of the operational fulfillment side of the business off me.
Yeah, so you were handling customer service and everything else in the business, just apart from the fulfillment of the orders.
Just everything bar fulfillment.
Which is very intelligent, actually, because like operations, I think it is more profitable to have it within your control. Yeah. When you're a certain size and scale. Mm-hmm. When you're of those early days when it's you and I look back on my tenure in the earlier days of our business, and like and we'll maybe do my story at some point, but like it was me and Mark, and then Sarah joined. But when it was me and Mark, I was spending a lot of time doing picking, packing orders. But actually, that was great thinking time. Looking back, like I used to think about the problems or like things that we were dealing with at the time. Like we were doing like £180,000 when I joined the business, right? The family business, and now we're obviously 8 figures. But that kind of early days of going from 180 to £1 million, that was really challenging. You kind of have to do everything.
Yeah. You got no choice but to everything. You can't afford to take on too many additional people to help in operational roles, can you, when you're doing that level of turnover?
I was having a chat with someone actually over the weekend, or was it yesterday/the weekend, and he his business is growing, like he's having a tremendous march, but he's been in the operation doing like basic stuff, and then I'm saying to him like, you need to hire someone for that, but he's under £1 million turnover. He's closer to more £500,000.
Okay.
Like, but the thing with that is, in a way, he's at that stage where you just got to get on with it and do it all.
Yeah, got to grit
because
your
you're
teeth.
not profitable enough to bring someone in.
No.
So like, he's got to do his job, and then when he needs to, flex into the operation.
Yeah.
And that's that period where I was for quite a long time. But for yourself, you'd outsourced the ops.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. So do you think that helped you then scale?
Massively so. I believe it did, because there was times where I was coming in and all I was doing all day was booking in deliveries. You know, well, first of all, I'd driven, bought the stock, picked it up, brought it back to the warehouse, unloaded it, start to book it in, you know, count the quantity, make sure it's right against the invoice, etc. Putting it into locations, then go and do my customer service, answer all the customer emails, then go and pick all the orders and prepare them for dispatch. So, I mean, it was probably taking up, bar a supplier trip, where obviously that'd take maybe half a day. On a normal day, the picking and packing and the booking in of goods and the returns, let's not forget them that come back, probably 70% of my day, 80% of my day could be at times. So I had 20% of my time to focus on actually growing the business, versus 80% operating the wheels, I suppose, keeping them turning.
So you, on your own, before you partnered with Avenue 85, like when you formed Avenue 85 with your brother James, you grew the business to over £1 million.
Yeah, it's like 1.1 million,
Yeah. I mean, I think that hitting your first £1 million turnover is like, that's a hard thing to do.
Awful. Yeah. But there's plenty of bumps along the way with it, obviously. But.
Yeah, that journey, I think, is actually looking back, like, because it was me and Mark, and then Sarah joined us in 2018, and we'd done very close or just over £1 million when Sarah joined us.
Good feeling.
It's a good milestone to hit. But that period before then, I was doing the pick and pack and dispatching, which would take up like 65-70% of my day.
Yeah.
And then I'd be going to Mark and challenging Mark, and me and Mark would be working on the website. Well, he'd be doing, but we were strategizing together. I was managing the paid advertising.
Right, okay.
So
you're doing that, agency, just yourself doing it?
Doing it myself.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I did a bit of social Facebook advertising as well, like Meta, yeah.
What was the ROAS then, when you were doing it back in the day on your own?
I don't think I was even looking at ROAS then.
Was it just looking at what revenue's coming in?
We weren't even doing revenue. We were doing I was just doing campaigns to grow the socials.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Just retargeting, basically.
Retargeting, outreach and things,
which is quite interesting. Yeah,
awareness.
But the spend in comparison. I mean, what were you spending when you were doing £200,000 a year? You were just on the marketplace.
So there was no. I mean, I suppose the beauty of the marketplace is there's no form of advertising cost where you're driving traffic. Well, there is now, but back then there was not. It's literally you upload your product to the marketplace, and you're putting it in front of active buyers that are already there in the market to buy a product. That's why they're on the site, such as eBay or Amazon, aren't they? And then you pay a fixed commission, and it depends on your category. For us, in clothing and footwear, eBay at that time was 10% and Amazon was 15% of your top line.
Out of interest, what is Amazon now? So Amazon's
15. A bit more, yeah. It's not too much more though. It's 15.3, 15.5.
What they've bolted on is you can then do sponsored and
this is the big thing.
Stuff, yeah.
Like what you were doing with your website, driving traffic to it. There's now Amazon ads or eBay ads where you pay on top. This is another marketing platform. You're paying on top to drive traffic to your listing on the marketplace. We don't do any of it because we don't have the margin in our products now to be able to pay, let's say, 15.5% to Amazon and then a further 15% on top in advertising costs, because it just would not work. I think it works really well if you've got your own label and you've got healthy gross margins in it. The only way you're going to disrupt that market then is by paying more than someone else who can't afford to drive traffic to an existing listing. And that's the way it would work. But back in that day, that wasn't even a thing. It was literally...
Yeah, so you never had your own website?
No, I actually did, to be fair. Further down the line, a few years on, I did when I started bringing in some of my own products.
And what was that? Shopify, or well, it wouldn't have been Shopify?
Oh God, no, that was
Magento.
ASP.net or something. No, sorry, it was. We looked at that, then we went with Magento.
You went with Magento.
Went with Magento. Yeah.
How much did that cost
sold.
you?
Oh God, dread to think. I got sold the the bells and whistles on it, and the amount of money that was put into that. In fairness, it worked for a period of time for me, but.
So for anyone listening, Magento is a e-commerce platform that like handles your product data. It hosts the web, well, it can host the website. I think back then you will have had a third-party hosting platform. Yeah. So it was the start of like what then became Shopify, different company, Magento. I think Magento is now owned by Adobe off the top of my head. Right, okay. I think. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
But for people listening, basically our businesses, because we're online retail, there's like these different tech periods, and Magento used to be a really expensive platform for you to run your website and your e-commerce operation on. We are both now on Shopify, which is like the cutting edge version. Yeah. We went on it in 2017. You guys probably went on it at a similar point. And then it's kind of exploded the last couple of years for you. But sorry to cut across. So
that's fine.
Magento was that's a big cost back then.
Yeah, it was.
Because they had the monopoly, basically, Magento, prior to Shopify turning up for that type of product. Yeah.
We needed something that would integrate with our sort of main system, which was Channel Advisor. And I think,
were you with Channel Advisor then as well?
Yeah, from the early stages,
So they've been around a long time.
Because what I used to have to do was manage just on an Excel spreadsheet, because there's no way of pooling the inventory when you're listing directly on one marketplace and then another. So I was having to basically have like a master file of inventory, which was an Excel document with how much stock have I got, how much have I uploaded to allocated to eBay, how much I'd allocated to Amazon, and then when the sales come in, I'd have to deduct it from Amazon and go, hold on a minute, that unit or that product sold well on Amazon. This is where it wasn't scalable until I put Channel Advisor into play.
Right, so you were managing, I mean, we don't want to go
manually,
too much detail because it'll be a bit of a turn off for...
they'll be like, inventory management, what's all this about? Integrators.
Yeah, because for us this is quite interesting. But I mean, maybe the guys are finding it interesting listening about that, because it's insightful kind of understanding.
Well, that was another challenge. If I got that wrong, I'd oversell. I'd sell more stock than I've actually got, and therefore let customers down.
Customer service issues.
Yeah, then I'd be answering their email, so it was just a bloody nightmare.
Yeah, interesting. So you went through that stage where you then started to... you basically signing up for big... kind of like with big SaaS companies.
Yeah.
So they're selling software as a service, which is kind of like just another like... It's a big cost of online retail, isn't it? So you 200k, you're heading towards £1 million. That journey to 200k to £1 million, what was the main catalyst for that, do you think, apart from you working 1,000 hours a week?
To get grafting away, head down.
For Rachel Reeves.
Yeah, for Rachel Reeves.
Or her predecessor.
And paying my fair share, of course, thank you. But no, so getting there, 200,000. And then for me at that stage, it was basically keep pushing on, buying more, retain that profit, and roll it over.
So reinvesting back into the business.
Yeah, pretty much everything.
And what were you paying yourself at that time?
It was literally just minimum wage. Whatever minimum wage, genuinely, whatever minimum wage was at the time, it was that. It was just enough to live off.
I love it. Yeah. And were you living at home with your parents at that stage?
No, I'd actually moved out and I was renting a little flat. I actually moved into it. My brother was in it before me. He was moving out because he just was looking to buy his first house. So I lived with him for a couple of months, maybe 2-3 months. Subsidised rent, thank you. And then
arguing about who's doing the
who's doing this, who's doing that. Well, he couldn't cook, to be honest, so it probably helped him out having me there. So
bless him.
Yeah. So I moved there for 3 months. He moved out, and then I took it on myself. But from what I was earning, it was just enough to cover food, rent.
Were you paying your staff more than you?
Yeah, it was, because they were on more than just above minimum, I'd say. So at that stage in the game,
I just think it's really important for listeners to appreciate that. So you were building a business that was doing 200k a year. You were heading towards £1 million, and on that journey, you were paying yourself minimum wage, and you were paying your staff, which you had two people.
Because I'd had Claire at that point as well.
So you had 2 people working for you, and you were paying them more than yourself.
Yeah.
That, for me, is like the definition of entrepreneurship. Is kind of like that willingness to like crawl over broken glass and like just just the grit to just do that and go through that process of like just accepting that it's tough, this, but I'm just going to keep on doing it because the vision and the kind of the end goal, I believe that I can get there. And that's what separates, I think, people that are capable of building businesses and people that are not. Because I think ultimately, like, a lot of people start businesses, a lot of people fail in business, unfortunately. And hopefully this podcast, part of it is like helping people kind of like adjust their mindset to shift in understanding that work-life balance, when you are growing from 200k to £1 million,
non-existent,
doesn't exist.
No.
Like, I have a bit of better work-life balance now. Now we're at 8 figures.
Yeah, but you've earned it.
But there was no work-life balance. And there's still periods now where, at this level, like, when the business needs me, I will be prepared to do 60, 70-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Like, no question.
Ultimately, you've got to do that,
as will you.
Yeah, 100%.
And we can just flick it like a light switch and turn it on.
Yeah.
And I think that's a skill that you learn to, like, move in and withdraw, and like, turn up when the business desperately needs that kind of support.
Yeah.
But yeah, that earning minimum wage.
Yeah.
I mean, when I joined Mark's business as an employee, because that's what I was originally, and now I'm one of the biggest. I am the biggest shareholder in the business because I've demonstrated value over time. But I think, like, I joined Mark, I took a pay cut from my job.
Right. Wow.
To join him. And the reason I did it was because I saw an opportunity. I took a risk. Do you know what I mean? And then I stayed at a really low income. I was on 18. Mark paid me 18 grand the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And then we partnered up basically when we went limited.
Right, and then you got a shareholding at that point.
Yeah, a little bit, and then negotiated more over time as I've demonstrated more and more value to the business. But for a long time in the early days, like, I was like the driving force. And don't get me wrong, like, I couldn't have done it without Mark and the opportunity that he gave me and all the rest of it. But we, like, for us, that those early days, like, I was earning very little, but I was just spurred on with that vision.
Yeah, you knew where it could go and the potential for it.
Yeah, exactly. So you were on that journey and you're like, right, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see where this could end up.
I could see other people doing it. Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I could see my brother, who was a few years ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, actually, you know, I am potentially onto a good thing here. I know that, you know, longer term money can be made, and my income therefore could increase with time.
Yeah, it's very interesting. What would you say were the main catalysts of that growth journey then? So you were reinvesting cash back in.
Yeah.
Your profits were staying in the business, which is something that a lot of business owners don't do.
Nope.
There's a lot of idiotic business owners out there that get themselves a nice Porsche or
well, it's none of that. I had a nice Corsa.
Yeah. Did you have any
/van?
Did you? Oh, just hit the mic. Do you have any decals on the side of
it? No. I had them blue lights though. You know, with the little cigarette port.
Oh,
in the car.
Early LEDs.
Terrible. I'm ashamed of it now, but yeah. That was about as fancy as it got in my car, I'm afraid.
Had you met Hannah, your wife, at that stage?
Interestingly enough, so the way I met Hannah was I was in a relationship with or seeing this girl for a period of time. Things sort of fizzled out and broke away there. Then it was actually Claire. So this is just before Claire started working for me. Claire was working as on the yachts. As a stewardess on the yacht, private yachts and things like that.
That's an interesting career.
Yeah. I mean, she's probably seen plenty of things, I imagine. But she messaged me out the blue on Facebook Messenger, saying, "Oh, I've heard you've sort of broken up with this girl. My friend would be interested in going on a date with you." And I was like, "All right, okay." So I sort of.
So there was matchmaking going on with an employee.
Exactly. Well, this is just before she worked for me because she's on the boat. She came back a few months later and started working for me. But as it turned out, it was Hannah, and so obviously went on a date and things sort of progressed from there with Hannah. So she was with me from like the really early days, from literally like a year and a half being into the game.
What impact do you think that relationship and the importance of like marriage and having a strong partner, strong relationship allowed you to then commit to entrepreneurship in your business?
Oh, it's pivotal. If you don't have that support from your partner, whether it's your wife or your husband, then you don't have the trust me, well, you've had it. You go home after some bad days and you're like, oh my God, like this has happened, that's happened. And they're great. They're there to support you, give you some advice.
Yeah.
Even sometimes they can just sit and listen. They don't need to give you any advice. Just sit and just be a sounding board as to you can offload what happened in the day. Yeah. I think it's, definitely without Hannah, I wouldn't be able to have done what I did when I was just on my own. And even now, as we're looking to scale up even further from where we are, you need a supportive partner. And if you don't have that, it's just going to make it so much more difficult for you.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate with Amy. She's kind of got my back.
Yeah, I've met. Yeah. I mean, it's your relationship.
Having those relationships, having that life partner that's willing to sacrifice things alongside you. It's very important.
Yeah.
So you to that £1 million turnover, because that's the kind of period we're focusing on there.
Okay, yeah.
You obviously spend there's a lot going on there, but you had a couple of employees.
Yeah.
Like catalyst wise, what other did you introduce? I think you mentioned to me in the past you introduced your own brand of products.
Yeah. So that first started out. I thought, right, we've got this clearance business going on, but there's no real continuity of products. It's sort of feast or famine at times. So it's like, right, what we're going to do is look to probably try and create our own brand. So after plenty of thought, came up with the name of Snuggaroo for a brand name. So I thought, right, we'll put that on some products, import them.
I've ordered one.
Oh, right, okay.
And I need to collect it from your warehouse.
You should. I would have brought it. You could have worn it today.
I know. Well, that would have been a great look, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll get that for the next episode.
I meant to message you actually because I bought it like 3 weeks ago and I put it down for collection and I've just not forgotten.
Yeah.
So it's been a bin somewhere, one of your storage bins, like waiting for collection.
You'd be getting a phone call from customer service. Excuse me,
they've probably been
Mr.
trying
Holland.
to ring me. I just thought they might have connected the dots.
No.
There's only one Matt Holland.
Yeah, exactly. There is only one. No, I'll sort that for you next time.
So Snuggaroo,
yeah. And so literally just doing some product research on Alibaba or AliExpress it was at that time, trying to find a factory to make some products, like small order runs. And I came across novelty Christmas jumpers, would you believe? So like very short selling window.
Have I got one of those as well?
Yeah, I think you do. have one of the Snuggaroo Christmas jumpers. But those are more traditional jumpers that you've probably got. Because that's what we've been doing as of more recent. These were garish novelty ones, so like your head would be the body. Ones. Yeah, there'd be a Santa's body on there. There'd be snowmen. The best-selling one we had was a elf Christmas jumper with bells on it.
Who designed those? Did you design them, or were they pre-designed?
Got a designer to knock up some stuff just like in Adobe. Sent that to the factory. I mean, it's very pulled together, very cowboy-like. It was.
Well, that's how it starts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, yeah.
Well, I'd never done any importing before. Never knew anyone that did any importing before. So it was literally, I'll go on AliExpress, contact some people on there that have got some product samples, give them some designs. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it than what I'm outlining now. But got one sample pre-production, and then just push the button on it. But what you had to do at that time, which you still do now, is pay 30% deposit on your order. So you got to front load that cash flow. And then it's the balance, obviously 70% before shipping. Obviously then it comes in the country. And then don't forget you've got things like import duty to pay. So the price is not the price that you see.
Jesus, so the barrier to entry on from a business perspective is really high there because you've got to have cash.
You've got to have cash that you can afford to outlay before obviously the products arrive. And let's talk from start to finish. It might be, well, it's about 6 weeks on the water anyway, once it leaves China. That's where I was getting my products from. China to the UK. And production might be 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
That's before you get the products. And then obviously you've got to start selling it to turn your cash flow back round.
And the gross profit, if you create a brand
that
much has better. Value, you can sell it and you can make 60% gross profit,
50%
gross profit.
Well, this was brilliant for me because I didn't necessarily have a brand to leverage because there was no brand value in Snuggaroo. It was literally just a name we created to put in a product. The desirability play was a novelty Christmas jumper. Yeah. Obviously, we need to land it in sort of, I think we got it in sort of October, knowing it'll start selling November, December. That people just want that product because at that point in time, not many people were doing these Christmas jumpers.
I was going to say, actually, like looking back now, and don't take this the wrong way, it's maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity, Snuggaroo.
Yeah.
Because if you'd gone on your own direct-to-consumer website at the time, like Shopify or something like that, if you'd done that then, organically from an SEO perspective, you would have had pretty good ranking for that product type.
Yeah.
So for people listening, it's basically like this super large. What are they actually called?
Like a wearable blanket.
Yeah, it's like a wearable. Yeah, that's
like
right.
Oodie,
Oodie is the brand. So Tom could have been Mr. Oodie.
Mr. Oodie. I mean, it's Davey Fogarty. He's worth hundreds of millions. Australian. Great guy. He's on YouTube.
Yeah.
To listen to as well.
But as a brand, you were early on with that.
Yeah. Well, this was Christmas jumpers I was doing at that point.
Right, so you weren't
rolled
doing
into that after.
Right, okay. Sorry.
These were Christmas jumpers. This was the first year we did it. I was
so what year was that then?
That would have been Christmas 2011, 2012.
Right, so you started doing the Christmas jumpers under Snuggaroo, and then what time did you introduce the Oodie equivalent?
Well, so the way that came about is obviously Christmas jumpers, brought them in that year. They were a massive, massive hit. Like, I set up a website, the christmasjumperstore.co.uk.
Do you still own that domain?
No, we've let it lapse now, to be honest with you. But
christmasjumpers.co.uk.
Yeah, but even with no paid traffic or anything like that, right? We brought these Christmas jumpers in. I was paying, landed cost was like, I can still remember, it's like £10.22, all right, I was paying. That's including all the duty and everything, right? And I was selling them for $39.99 plus delivery. So there was great margin.
You've let the domain name for Christmas jumpers just lapse.
Yeah, sure, I know, it's a missed opportunity.
Has someone else bought it?
Yeah, it's gone now, yeah.
Fuck.
Shocker, innit?
That is shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, but we live and learn. Won't let anything like happen again. But so that year brought them in. Christmas, it was just phenomenal. Like, I think we bought in a couple of thousand units. Literally, I was getting a bit nervous, like mid-November, thinking, "Oh my god, are these?" I mean, because obviously you've got the window of Christmas to sell them. No one wants it after come Boxing Day. No one wants a Christmas jumper, do they? Like a new one.
No.
But yeah, it just went insane over November.
What percentage of the sales were on christmasjumpers.co.uk and what was on...
Well, this is it. So we did no paid advertising.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. No Google, no Meta.
Well, Google, I mean, paid advertising back then.
It would have been cheap.
It was cheap. And also, like, it was free.
Yeah. There's free listings.
So when it first launched, it was like you could list your products for free.
Yeah.
Absolute con.
But this is what I didn't know about this at that time, really, because I was so inexperienced in terms of like the actual econ. It was more the marketplace that had driven the business for us at that point in time. But yeah, that website was generating like 50 orders a day just from
just organic,
complete 100% organic. Obviously, then I've got no marketing costs. Like I haven't got the 15% to what I was paying to Amazon to sell the product, so the margins just got even better. And so we got through that Christmas into January. I was like, this is something we need to do and go harder on. So, and we've made, I was still taking minimum wage. We've made quite, a nice margin on those products. So the cash balance was coming up. I was like, right, we're going again. We're going to bring in 2 or 3 times the amount of the Christmas jumpers, extend the designs and the ranges, which we got to work on. And then I thought, right, you're buying Christmas jumpers at Christmas. We need to do something else with this brand name, Snuggaroo. Let's look at another product category. And we thought it fitted quite well with like what is like warmth, comfort and style, we thought. So we thought, right, pajamas. Okay. So like way back when there was these things that like when we've had kids, you put them in a onesie, don't you? A footed onesie. Right, those for adults. That's going to be what we're going after next, right? Footed pajamas for adults.
Yeah, because onesies were a bit of a trend for a while, weren't they?
Yeah. But these things were genuine pajamas with the feet on it.
Right.
I think you might be thinking of the onesie where it's like a tracksuit, top and bottom.
No, I'm thinking the full. You've got to get in and out.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That was a trend.
Yeah, so that's what we jumped on. That was right.
It's kind of been replaced by the Oodie trend, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. We moved on to that now.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, we can get them in. They're going to sell in winter, but they're going to sell all winter, all the way through to like February, March, whereas Christmas jumpers are November, December sales. Obviously, we weren't neglecting the general clearance that we were buying in the brands that we were doing, but I was like, we need something where I could just see the light with this sort of stuff. So we got some designs knocked up for these footed pajamas, and it coincided. The same factory that was making them could also make these one-piece jumpsuits, which is basically a tracksuit bottom and a hoodie all together.
Yeah.
Right? The zips all the way up. And I'd started to see these things. Like, and they were becoming quite a trend. Thought, right, I'm going to jump on this. So again, did our own designs in these products. Factory sent some samples. I didn't know what I was looking for quality. There was no QC and no nothing. Like, you know, I was just like, yeah, they look good enough. You know, they sent me a size medium. Right, let's have like 500 of that one, 800 of that one. Bang, put the order in, 30% of the money gone. Containers, well, it was one container actually. Container arrived like August time, got the domain, obviously snuggaroo.co.uk, and put them on. And we immediately just started to see, with, again, no form of advertising, orders coming in for these products. I thought, right, we can start to push this now. So we contacted a...
imagine, sorry to interrupt you, but imagine going back to that period now with the knowledge you have now.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, we would have scaled... I probably would have taken some finance on, but we would have scaled... We could have scaled that to a few million quid, easy.
Yeah, you would have been... Easy. I think you would have been...
and probably sold it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's really interesting, isn't it? Like, that we go on this journey as entrepreneurs and, like, you're winging it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Your knowledge was, like, ropey.
I'd never, apart from the Christmas jumpers, never imported anything in my life before. Didn't know the full process of it. Didn't really understand selling through a website. If I'd have known that, you know, free listing ads or even the paid ads.
Like, listening to you now, with our knowledge now.
Would have owned Google. I would have owned Google for Christmas jumpers.
Yeah, and you would have, like, pumped the spend and, like...
Yeah.
Mad.
But, we live and learn, don't we? But, yeah, so these products had come in, got those online, started to sell, thought, right, start to see them, you know, few, like celebrities wearing them, you know, on programs and such. Thought, right, we contacted, actually, a PR agency. It was only an independent lady.
Yeah.
And we started to do some PR, and she did some outreach for us. And we actually managed to get the Snuggaroo product on. There was probably still a show called The Only Way Is Essex, Tower.
Yeah.
We got it on there. I remember Bobby Norris, he was someone on there. We managed to get him in it. I can't remember the name of the other man. Managed to get him in it. We sent one to someone that was on X Factor, Ella Henderson, if you remember her.
Yeah, that name rings a bell.
Got it on Ella Henderson. I actually dealt with her brother on that. I messaged her brother being like, look, if I give you like 20...
So you went on Instagram?
Yeah.
That's the early days of Instagram.
Yeah.
So you went on there, you found out who her brother was, messaged him, brother, and then he hooked you up.
Then he hooked me up. He said, look, if you give us like 23 of these products, I'll speak to her, I'll get her to wear one, do a post for you. I was like, well, brilliant. And can she like put the link in and a discount code and all that sort of stuff?
Did she?
Yeah, which she did, yeah. And we got some traffic and some sales from that.
How many followers did she
she had, way over 100,000 people on
that is mad. So back then she had 100,000 followers, and the payment for that was a few...
20, yeah. And these things were costing me like, the foot pajamas are like £5.50. So it was like 20 of them. And I got a post.
Yeah. That's the early days of influencer marketing.
That is very much so. And the other one, which was great, was we got it in Good Housekeeping magazine. We had to pay a little bit for that. But the other person we got it on is Michelle Keegan. Got Michelle Keegan to wear it in a shoot with OK magazine. I've still got that, actually. I must have it framed somewhere. Yeah.
We need to get that as like a little thing on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We'll stick it behind you.
Yeah. Thinking now about how much of a star she's become now, it's like, what we paid, it was absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because she's on the BBC and everything, isn't she?
Yeah, brilliant. She's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we started to do a bit more outreach sort of marketing, I suppose, in a way with that. And it was that point, actually, we got a letter from Tesco. Obviously the superstore, Tesco Superstore. They'd seen the name. They were like, that name's perfect. They wanted to make some baby products using that brand name.
Yeah.
And they were open to buying the brand name itself, because we've done all the proper things, we've registered it and all that sort of stuff, but the money they were offering just was not anywhere near enough to cover what I'd already invested in the stock, because obviously the stock therefore would be redundant if I had Snuggaroo branded product and they own the rights to it. So that was interesting, a little bit of back and forth with Tesco's, but moving forward from that, generating those great sales on those products. thinking, right, I've again, massive gross margins in these things. Bringing in those all-in-one jumpsuits for like, they were about £15 something. I was selling them for like 90 quid. It was just incredible. And we were selling thousands of them. So this is at the point where I thought, like, I wasn't getting ahead of myself, but I thought, this is it. This is like the one bit of, golden vein I've hit here. I need to milk this and push this really hard. Which we did. We put some more orders in with the factory, and then reality hit when we got a letter from another company through the post.
Are you legally allowed to say who that company is?
I probably won't, right? But they challenged us on the design for the Snuggaroo all-in-one jumpsuit.
Interesting.
Basically saying all the documentation, we own the rights to this product. You need to immediately take it off sale, and there's like, they were obviously threatening like the damage to the brand that had been caused, loss of earnings. Oh my God. I was like,
Jesus.
Yeah. So we got everything verified. Like, right, we spoke to the people we knew down a company called Mubin Ellis down in London, and they looked at it like, in fairness, no, like they have registered the design of the product. So if you want to fight it, you can, but the likelihood is, and this company was already sort of 8-10 million quid, this business that had contacted us to say, look, you're infringing on our IP here. So, and they wanted me to get rid of all the stock. Basically take it off sale is what they were saying. So therefore, I would have been stuck with thousands of units in this warehouse of products I couldn't sell. I remember going home that night and, oh God, it was awful. I was there, it was the afternoon. I was lay on the sofa. Hannah got back from work. She's like, what's wrong with you? And I explained the situation. And she was like, oh, because to me at that stage, it was like, that's like catastrophic. That's that's terminal.
What percentage of your revenue was it?
Oh, at that point, it was probably getting on to like 75% of the revenue was coming through our own brand. Which I thought was going to be 100% the future, obviously. Then you get this letter through the post. And Hannah was like, look, she was so good and supportive. She was like, look, they're saying you can't sell it. Basically, I couldn't sell it online, right? Need to get rid of it. And she was like, well, just every weekend we'll go down to Manchester and we'll sell them, in a market stall in Manchester or around Manchester. And that's when I was like, you know what, she is a good one. Like,
keep it.
I knew at that point. Obviously, we weren't married at that point, but we were living together. I was like, she is a keeper because she's obviously got my back there. So I was like, right.
Yeah, so she was willing to spend her weekend.
Yeah, she was like, don't worry about it. We'll sell them.
Did you do that?
Well, I had a couple of days. I think that was a Friday I got that. At the weekend, I was just thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? Obviously, I've got 2 staff as well. I was thinking, this is it. Like, this is going to be awful. This is going to be the end of us. Got back into work Monday morning, refreshed. Was like, right, need to deal with this problem. Basically, was like, right, I can't sell it myself. I need to dispose of the product.
Yeah.
So I started contacting a load of like clearance houses, basically. Be like, look, I was thinking, can it be disposed of in a different market that won't interrupt with their main channel? Spoke to a few clearance houses, explained the situation, but the offers on the products, like it was awful. It was like 10% of the cost value to me.
Those clearance houses, that's what they're like.
Brutal. I can understand why, in fairness to them. I was in a situation where I needed to get rid of these products. They knew I was probably too open. They knew the vulnerability. And I needed it offloaded quick. I needed the cash because that's going to disrupt my cash flow as well. Managed to do a deal with a guy who took all of it. I think it was 38 pallets worth of products. It was a couple of truckloads. Right, yeah.
What was the value that you had paid for that stock?
Oh, it was a few hundred. It was 250 grand, maybe. So it's quite a lot of money. I know.
So you paid 250 grand.
£250,000. Yeah. Awful. I think I got.
And that's pure profit from the previous few years.
Yeah, rolled over. Yeah. And it was just, it was terrible. and I got like 25% back of the value of that.
Yeah.
So it was just enough to be like, right, what am I going to do now? That product actually ended up getting cleared to someone else, and then someone else, and then it ended up going on Groupon, of all places. So it was highly visible, but thank God it was a flash sale site. So all the units were gone within, a week or so.
Would you have been still legally tied into that product?
Well,
even though you weren't selling it?
Yeah, I mean, I told the clearance house, I had to put it in writing as well, that this is the stipulations of the product, can't be sold. I thought it was going to Europe. And being disposed of like in TK Maxx or something.
Right, so you had that legal protection.
Yeah.
I'd asked you to distribute it elsewhere.
And it ended up online. I thought, oh my God, they're going to come at me here. Yeah. Interestingly, the company that ended up buying it a few chains down the line contacted me saying, that was unbelievable. Yeah, no, they did. They said it was unbelievable. They absolutely flew out. Have you got any more? I'll buy it direct from you now. I was like, no, they're all gone, thankfully. And there was no sort of fall back or come back off
that's
that.
Funny how it's like full circle, because that's what you were.
Yeah, initially. We were doing that. Yeah.
You were the clearance guy.
Yeah.
And then you built this little brand up.
Yeah.
And then you had clearance guys coming to you.
Yeah.
It's
the way it goes.
Mad. Well, I mean, that story on Snuggaroo, I think that kind of makes this, that's like the title of this episode in a way. Because that's, I mean... because we've not even touched on like your journey into Avenue 85, so I think we're going to have to segment off the episode again.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do a part 3.
No, that's fine.
What we might do is might drip it in a few weeks after these episodes come out.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on Snuggaroo that...
There was nothing on...
Because it's still obviously a brand.
Yeah, no, we still use it to this day, actually. Yeah. We do import some products under our own brand, which is obviously Snuggaroo.
Yeah.
So it's still got life in it yet, and I think we can repurpose it and do a lot more with it.
I think you can.
It's probably
the good thing with it is the brand name is like it's not like tied to a product. The brand name,
no, universal.
And because it's been around for such a long time, there will be people that connect with it. And from an SEO and everything else, it's there.
Definitely.
Do you still have the official domain name?
Yeah, got the official domain name. It's all registered.
Yeah. What does that site do at the moment? Does it just point to Avenue 85?
Yeah. It's just like a holding page for the brand.
It's crying out for
something to be done with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, there's an opportunity there for us.
It is, but obviously the space that those products are operating in is quite dominated now. It's like it's
competitive as well. If it's like nightwear, in which we were.
Well, we've literally done almost an hour on that.
Oh, good God! Right,
that is pretty crazy. But I just want to touch on a couple of quick questions for you.
Yeah.
These are actually from Charlie as well, Mr.
Workwear Innovation and
Workwear Innovation.
Rachel Thieves over here.
There we are.
Yeah.
He's actually got, if you go on Workwear Innovation's Instagram page, he's got a reel that he did.
Yeah.
He's really good with his social media
content.
Marketing. Yeah, it's quite funny. But he did a little thing with that portrait, which I'm guessing, and then he sent it over to. Yeah, it's great that. Hilarious. What were the biggest challenges of starting and scaling an e-commerce business, and how did you overcome them?
Mm-hmm. What do you think to that, Matt? Is that question directed at both of us? Is it?
I think for you initially.
Okay,
I think for me, cash is the.
Oh yeah. We were only very fortunate in the fact how I was able to scale is because we had such big GPs, gross profit margins, in those products and I had such a low cost base. To staff, I wasn't taking hardly any money. I was taking minimum wage out, so all that money that we're generating was just accruing in that bank account. So cash flow was less of an issue. It was more time for me. There was so many things that I wanted to do that it was just a resource issue, probably internally to scale up.
It's
and
knowledge, cash and knowledge.
Yeah.
They're the two, aren't they? Yeah.
If I'd have known what I know now back then.
Well, that's what
my life
earlier,
would be different.
But that's it. I think it's the rate at which, as an entrepreneur, your knowledge grows, and like that flywheel and the critical mass of your business. Mm-hmm. And that's why early on, you have to leave the cash in the business.
Yeah. Well, if you don't, how are you going to grow?
Yeah.
It's like the lifeblood of any business is cash flow.
It's when you see these idiots, right, where they've had a little bit of success
they've had a taste
in the business. They get themselves a fancy car.
Yeah.
Like, they get themselves some designer clothing. And I'm just like, you are an idiot.
Yeah, pointless.
Because they could have reinvested that cash back into the business.
Yeah, all that can come later.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and it'd be better as well.
Yeah,
You'll
they've made a couple of $100,000 in the year.
Yeah,
They're just absolutely doing the company over that they own.
Yeah.
Like
and the employees there, because you could have a much bigger business.
Yeah, exactly.
Much more opportunity for people that are working there. But no, you chose
they give
to
entrepreneurs a bad name.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
These muppets that are
it's
driving
all social media stuff.
Ferraris. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole business now these days. You actually get paid to be an idiot.
Yeah, true. Yeah, an influencer.
Like, I mean, it's funny actually, because like our social media.
Yeah.
Like, if we want to catapult it to success, we could show materialistic things.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that.
No.
Because it's not me and it's not you.
No.
But I'm just like, these idiots on. But it says a lot about society now, how materialistic we are.
Yeah.
It's quite sad.
It's a shame, isn't it? It's a real big shame.
But yeah, cash and knowledge for that question.
Definitely. Knowledge being the key point.
I think question 2, which is, I'll read the question, but we're not going to answer it because I think we do that when we come back to your story again in the future.
Yeah.
How has working with your brother shaped the business, and what advice would you give to family members going into business together? We'll save that. We'll set on that. That's a good one. We might even cover it in another episode. I'm just thinking about it in my head.
Yeah.
What key decisions or strategies had the biggest impact on your growth, and what would you do differently if you started again? So we've covered key decisions and strategies. But what would you do differently? You would have gone harder on paid on Snuggaroo earlier on.
Yeah, because we did nothing. Yeah. So that would have been, that's a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah. And in the early days of Google advertising, that would have been so cheap.
Yeah. Much cheaper advertising, less competition in that space. I would have honed in and pushed my own brand, which was Snuggaroo, and I would have added more complementary products to that range.
Yeah.
Less reliant on something so much novelty. Christmas jumpers having a short shelf life of selling November to December.
And you would have done all that on your own website.
Would have done all that on my own website. I probably would have still used Amazon and eBay for awareness, but I would have had the products on there at a much higher price point than what would have been on my own website.
Because that website would have ranked organically for certain keywords.
Yeah, 100%.
And you would have been able to bid on it. It would have been a more profitable business as well.
Good God, it would have been, yeah. And I would have done my homework more in the sense of when I'm trying to design products or make similar products with other people, just to know, again, falls back to knowledge, to know what's, where are the grey lines and what's the grey area and such.
Interesting. Well, that's 3 questions from Charlie. I think we'll leave it there. So I think we'll probably leave. I think the next episode we won't go into your next story, but we'll keep that for the future. And we'll rewatch last episode and this episode. And get a bit of a structure down for going, because that flowed really nicely into the story of Snuggaroo. So I think that makes a good part 2 of your story. But the title can be like the story of Snuggaroo, the brand.
Okay.
Great little marketing piece for you.
Yeah, I like that.
So we'll wrap it up there. If you're listening and you found that good, chuck some comments in, questions for Tom, either about Snuggaroo and his journey, and we'll do a part 3 about his joining up with his brother James, and then what created the modern day 8-figure online retailer, which is Avenue 85. Fantastic business. Check out their website. And make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, you're following us on Spotify, really important. And I think it's interesting because I was looking at the graphs on the analytical tools for YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Not many people make it to the end of the episodes.
Okay,
which is quite interesting. Like, this whole thing is a learning thing for us.
Yeah.
But the people that have made it this far are committed, loyal.
Yeah.
People, they're loyal guys.
Want to know more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we really appreciate it if you've got this far, and just make sure you are subscribed and you're liking and you comment, and it makes a massive difference to the algorithm. And I think we'll leave it there, and we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.